alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, as requested, every week I will be doing a book review of one of the parenting books that I have read in the past, inshallah. And today I'd like to start with a book written by Leonard Sachs. She is a Jewish psychologist and author of number of parenting books such as Collapse of Parenting, Boys Adrift, or Girls on the Edge. And one of his famous books is the Collapse of Parenting, inshallah, and I will be reviewing that book today. So in this book he presents a lot of statistical information about children in America, but the principles and rules, suggestions he put forward in this book can be applied by parents anywhere in the world, inshallah. So he talks specifically about how to deal with children and social media, how to deal with video games, and how to deal with the internet world in today's day and age as a parent, inshallah. So very interesting findings. And I put down around 15 to 20 points which I will be going inshallah in detail. Number one, so as a parent we all want our children to be successful, right? We want them to be successful, but it's very, very important to determine what is success measured by. So what is success determined by to you as a parent, right? And statistically, you know, he gives again I said statistics based in children in America, the surveys and research conducted in America. That's where he's based as a psychologist. The biggest indicator of success at 32 is having self-control at the age of 12, subhanallah. This is the success determined here by having no criminal violence, or by getting a university degree and having a secure job. So look at this. It's not what they score in tests. It's the biggest indicator of success at 32 is having self-control at the age of 12. So if you have children at 12 or around 12, the best thing you can do as a parent right now is teaching them the sense of self-control. Number two, nowadays the world has become a global village, right? So we are all living in different parts of the world as a community. And he urged that parents should speak their own native language at home, right? And we should make our children feel proud of their own heritage. So for example, we are from Uzbekistan, right? And our children are being born and raised in the UK before we moved, but it's very important that we make them speak Uzbek language and we teach them the Uzbek culture, the Uzbek heritage. This is very, very important to preserve their unique identity. Nowadays, you know, especially in America, he says, you know, children are being made ashamed of their own heritage and language and identity, which is wrong. And he suggests that parents should form a community groups with the parents of the same background and culture, where they can make children speak their own language, so they get that peer experience, and they can cook the same meals from the same culture. And if possible, you should make grandparents move in so they can pass on the language and the culture as well, inshallah. And the next few chapters is about smartphones. Generally, we should delay the mobile ownership as much as we can, right? As much as we can. There's no hardcore rule that children shouldn't have phone by 15 or 16. Delay it as much as you can. And if the situation necessitates that you need to give phone to your child, then just get them a dumb phone, right? The phone that just does the job of calling, that's it. And also talking about media, he says that in the past all the adverts used family as a, family and parents relationship as an iconic point of selling. It was a unique selling point. But nowadays we have shows like Simpsons or books like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. These depict parents as being dumb and making children very rebellious. So beware of what you allow your children to watch from a very young age. And screens should not be allowed in bedrooms at all. So TVs, laptops, PCs, especially now if your children are doing online schooling, distance learning, you should allow this in communal areas such as living room, or if you don't have one, then you have to move the PCs and laptops out of the bedroom to a communal area, so at least you can watch or supervise your children's online activity. And bedroom should not be a place where we or the children socialize with the outside world. And he emphasized that this rule should be applied by the whole family. So you can't have one rule for the children and another for the parents. So it should be practiced by the whole family. And video games. There's a specific chapter about video games. He talks about video games in detail and how they promote violence. And he mentions Fortnite, Grand Theft. Also, I think in these games, children are being rewarded for stealing cars or for killing people. Just what kind of character does this build in children, right? It's wrong. And again, statistically, violent video games are directly related to the increase of gun violence in the United States. And when it comes to social media, again, keep children away from social media as long as you can. But one day they will own their mobile phones anyway, and one day they will go on social media anyway. So what you can do as a parent is have a very clear rules from the onset. From the start. If you want your mobile phone and if you want to have social media account, these are the rules, and X, Y, Z, right? And again, we have a lot of books or articles nowadays that suggest that parents be friends with their children and act like a peer, which is nice, but also it's very important that you as a parent maintain authority figure, right? The children should know. No means no. This should be taught from the beginning. And there's a difference when it comes to use of mobile and social media. There's a big difference between the girls and the boys. Girls generally, they are more susceptible to depression, anxiety, overthinking, and a lot of girls, they project the highlights of their life on social media, thus creating the illusion that my life is perfect. And a lot of girls suffer from comparing themselves to others who are having perfect life on social media. So they're more prone to suffer from low self-esteem, low self-worth, leading them to anxiety and depression. Whereas boys, they are more prone to falling victim into the trap of video gaming and living their lives in the virtual world with the characters and not being able to navigate their way in the actual real world, right? Not being able to form relationships and or settle in when they move into new school or university, or when they start their jobs and careers, they're not able to settle. And we should very much do our children, we should make them do chores around the house, and make sure that they don't grow up with this entitled attitude that if I want X, Y, and Z, I can have X, Y, and Z, etc. And a lot of the time, we as parents, we feel sorry for our children, right? They have full-time school already, and they're doing football or basketball, and they have this on and that one. So we end up doing most of the house chores ourselves because naturally we feel sorry for them. But actually, it's very unhealthy. When we end up doing everything by ourselves, it's very unhealthy. We should make children do some of the jobs, and we should increase that by age as well. And talking specifically about music, he says, beware of what kind of music kids listen to. But alhamdulillah, I don't think that's a huge problem for Muslims. Generally, we tend not to listen to music anyway, but he talks about the language of the current day music and why parents should be aware of these things. And a lot of children in the USA are being offered ADHD and antidepressants from a young age, from a very, very young age statistically, and he compares what has been offered to children in the city of Houston is more than what France as an entire country offers annually. So we should not resort to these ADHD or antidepressants when dealing with teenagers with low attention span, or if they're having, mental health issues. And he also talks about religion a lot and why parents should try to uphold their own religion. Religion plays a major part in people's upbringing, in the way they live, their lifestyle, which is now being, ignored. A lot of people feel also ashamed of their religion. They want to assimilate and be part of the culture, and they want to declare that they're not part of any religious groups due to peer pressure or things like that by the society, which is wrong. Again, we should teach religion from a young age. We should teach them about God. We should teach them about our own family principles and values and beliefs. So faith should always be a big part of our parenting, inshallah. Even though he talks, he talks from a non-Islamic point of view, a lot of what he says about parenting actually something that we as Muslim parents would agree on. And he also says that 20 years ago when children asked, 20 or 30 years ago when children, he conducted a survey where children were asked what they want to be in the future, and in that survey a lot of the children responded. I think nearly 70% responded they want to be a good human being, they want to help the needy, they want to benefit the society, things like that. And he compared it with the recent survey conducted with the children, where when children were asked what they want to be, a lot of the children said, I want to be famous. And this indicates how times are changing now, right? So children nowadays, they care more about how they look rather than who they are or what they do. So how they look became more important than who they are. And it is our job as a parent to change this, inshallah. And how? Again, when it comes to social media apps, video games, we should do our own research and have parental monitoring software in place, and having a family meal together, having family dinners. These small habits that we have as a family, they provide a sense of security for children. They provide them with the anchor where they feel attached, or the sense of belonging. And it's very important that we eat as a family together. We spend quality time together, like reading books together or watching documentaries and discussing things together. And subhanallah, the childhood is a time to be nurtured and to have certain principles and values and faith be installed in our children. So we should be very clear about what determines success for us. What is our measuring yardstick? What do we want our children to be successful, right? So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Your children being successful human beings. How do you envision that in the future? So have a very clear goals, which means have a very clear rules about how you want to set the boundaries in your own household, inshallah. So that was the end of the book review of The Collapse of Parenting by Dr. Leonard Sachs, and I look forward to future book reviews with you, inshallah.